Welcome everyone to our Flinders trip. I do apologise for not uploading a video for a while. Our trip to the Flinders was a 4-week trip in June, and then I've been trying out a new video program. It took us roughly a couple of weeks to drive across to the Flinders. We stayed there for 3 nights and then slowly worked our way home. Our first night was just south of Brookton at a nice private camp spot before we met up with the rest of our convoy. Our first morning was a bit on the chilly side and a little bit foggy. It also started to rain on our way into the township of Brookton, which is where we were meeting everyone. Here is our convoy of vehicles. There were 11 vehicles in total. Our trip leader Steve Bly gave us a little talk before heading off, telling us roughly what was involved with the day's travel. Steve has his own YouTube channel called Mongrel Dog Productions. I'll put a link to his channel in the description below if you would like to check it out. We stopped at Corrigan Dog Cemetery, which is about 5 kilometres west of Corrigan. It was established in 1974 and is a lovely tribute to a man's best friend. It's worth checking out and reading some of the headstones. Unfortunately, some of the graves didn't have a headstone, which is quite sad. And then you get some that are quite fancy. Drove through Corrigan, which is a small wheat belt town about 230 k's east of Perth, and is mostly a farming town focusing on crops and sheep. It also holds the world record for the most dogs in utes, 1,527 dogs and utes in a single queue. We then drove through Coolin, which is popular for the Coolin bush races held in September of each year, and is also famous for the Tin Horse Highway, where it has different types of horse statues. We have been this way a few times, and you can check out more of this on some of my previous videos. I'll put a link to one of the videos in the description below. Now we are on the Hyden Norseman Road heading to our camp spot for the night. We are staying at the Breakaways camp spot. We have stayed here previously, and again I will put a link in for the video in the description below. It was for our Peak Charles trip that we did at Easter time this year. We stopped and checked out McDermott Rock, which has a loop walk trail just over 1 kilometre and is considered an easy walk. You can also camp here, and there are some picnic tables and fixed fireplaces. There is also a section of rock which looks a little bit like wave rock. We had morning tea at Lake Johnston, which is roughly 100 kilometres east of Norseman and is along the Hyden Norseman Road. You are also allowed to camp here. We are now on the Coolgardie Esperance Road and are heading into Norseman. Here we are crossing Lake Cowan, which will actually take us into Norseman. Here in Norseman we had the opportunity to top up our fuel and also had lunch. Once we left Norseman, we turned onto the old telegraph track and aired down our tyres and then headed towards Lake Dundas. There is an awesome trail to do leaving from Norseman called the Dundas Coach Heritage Trail. We did this trail a couple of years ago when we went to Kalgoorlie. I will put a link in the description below for the actual video. Here we are on what is called the Causeway, crossing over Lake Dundas. And back on the old telegraph linesman track, which is within the Dundas Nature Reserve. Came across some old storage tanks used by the linesmen back in the day. Our camp spot for the night, which we just found along the side of the track. A view from our rooftop tent, and of course some sunset shots. The car's got a little bit dirty along the track. Just look at how thick that mud is. The track got a bit on the muddy, slushy side, as you will see in the next few videos. This part of the track was actually the worst part. As you can see, someone went for a little bit of a slide. And Barb did a bit of a 180, didn't quite catch the whole thing, but thanks for the footage, Sean. can still see some of the power poles in this lake, and there's another one further on. Doing our good deed as usual, removing some tree branches from the track. Check out those clouds in the sky, they look awesome. Whoopsie, wasn't warned about the tree coming. Having some morning tea just on the track here. Caledonia Roadhouse for some refueling and have some lunch. There is a museum here showing the Indigenous heritage, the history of the Royal Flying Doctor Service, the construction of the air highway, with the main focus being on the fiery re-entry of the NASA's Skylab space station. Definitely worth the visit. The famous 90-mile straight sign. You will see some of these RFDS emergency landing strips along the air highway. Wow, how gorgeous is that sky? Our camp spot for the night was at Baxter 24-hour rest area. We were able to find a spot further towards the back. We had a family of magpies visit us while sitting around the campfire. Penny and Jackie were able to feed them by hand.
Yes. Peel.
No, we're good, mate.
So you're not playing with us because we've already got...
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode.